Hello and welcome, friends. Welcome to another episode where I review vintage fountain pens. This time I have this beautiful, and small Italian pen. It is quite wonderful. I did not pay a large sum of money for it because I believe that the nib of this particular model was replaced in time. You will see that it has a German steel nib fitted on it. This is the reason I paid for this model only 267 leis, or the equivalent of 54.49 euros or 59.24 American dollars. And let me tell you about the manufacturer of this pen. Certainly, it is a metallic pen, as you can see, multifaceted one, and I believe it was made in Italy in the 1930s. One of the clue about the origin of it we have engraved here. So, Fendograph, we have a logo, and here we have or lamine, or maybe oro lamine. I say that because or means in French gold, and oro in Italian means also gold, but with another O at the end. Let me tell you about the Fendograph. So, Fendograph is a brand produced by the Fend brothers in Milan, Italy. The company was founded in the 1930s by the German Fend company based in Pforzheim. I'm sorry about my pronunciation. I don't know uh, German at all, but I will write the name of that German city on the screen. This Fend company in Milan produced metal overlays for writing instruments as well as for personal accessories. But Fend in Milan also made its own line of fountain pens with the brand name Fendograph. Practically in Milan, Italy, they made the typical Italian safety fillers, and their overlay is mostly found in Italy, and it is called the continental overlays. As you can see, present also on this model, the Fendograph overlays from the 30s have geometrical design, almost Art Deco looking, and mainly they are applied using the guilloche technique with alternating polished and matte surfaces. Quite nice. Also in my collection, I have other overlays that I suspect they were made by the same Fend company in Milan here, and also here. Interesting, they all have these rings at the top. So and not all of them are small, but are medium size. Look also with this with geometric patterns, and I also have this that has that technique. Quite interesting, the so-called continental overlays that we can see also on the American models from Waterman. But returning to our pen, it has quite small dimensions, and let me show you as a size reference the famous Mont Blanc Meisterstück 146, and you can see this is a small pen. A characteristic is this ring top, which says about this pen that it was mainly used by ladies. It was meant to be carried on a necklace around your neck or in a small lady's purse. Quite a resistant and durable piece. This particular piece, it is a button filler, and let me zoom on it for you to see. So it has this cap right over here, which unscrews and it reveals this button. When you fill this fountain pen, you insert it in a inkwell and you push this button, and it has a small ink sac, a rubber ink sac here, and this button operates a lever. The lever pushes on the sac and it creates vacuum, so the ink is pulled into that sac reservoir. Unfortunately, I think that this model, I don't know if it has the right sac. It needs quite a small sac, but I will show you that in a minute. So you probably can see this is metallic. This probably or surely is a kind of celluloid. I don't think it is hard rubber because it maintain this black color. If it were hard rubber, this probably would develop some brown colors. And like I told you about the nib, we have iridium engraved on it. Of course, this is a steel nib, gold plated. The plating has faded away, but we can recognize that logo with the deer that jumps on some cliffs. And if I'm not mistaken, this is the logo of the German Bock nib producer. If I don't think that the nib is original, probably it contains a gold nib, a 14 karat gold nib. I believe that the feeder, the ebonite feeder, is original. It is the so-called Christmas feeder that we can see on the American models from Parker in the early 1930s. And being an Italian manufacturer in Milan, of course, they were heavily influenced by the designs from the Americans. Okay, I told you that I will try to show you. So basically, if you want to replace the sack, you have to gently rotate this. And bear in mind, guys, this was rotated. Usually they use, I'm not so sure, some shellac. Don't use super glue because you will ruin it. And you need to be patient when you do this. So it it has the rod. Unfortunately, the rod, as you can see, it has some rust marks. Probably it will need to be replaced. And this is the rod. I'm not so sure about the inner mechanism of it. Maybe it's broken, but this is it, guys. So definitely it lacks the sac. I don't know, something else? No. No residues of the sac, so it means that someone already took the old sac. What can I say? Guys, a beautiful model from the 1930s. I will leave its dimensions on the screen and then we will do the writing sample. Let me clear the pages. Okay. And now let me see if we can post it. Yes, it posts quite well, as you can see. Probably you know it is a small pen, but when you use it, post it, it becomes quite a pleasure to write with. And I believe I will use it post it because I have large hands. So for the writing sample, I have here the Mont Blanc Royal Blue ink. I will just dip this pen in ink, and this feeder will have the role of providing us with sufficient ink. And I believe if I will dip it, let's get rid of the excess of the ink. And I probably need to get rid also of the ink that is on the grip section. Let me see if I have a tissue right over here. Yes, sorry about this, guys. So always be prepared. We will use the tissue. And another rule when you use the ink, well, put back and just don't do it like this. Just rotate it firmly. And in case of an accident, believe me, this could get messy. So, the first rule, after you ink the pen, cap back the inkwell. And let me put the inkwell here. And let me see, it doesn't want to, so it's not firmly put like that. Okay, what do we have here, guys? Maybe a little zoom will be in order. Yes. Okay. It will be quite difficult for me to write, but I hope that I can. Back from the camera, I have to stretch my arm. So what do we have here? We have a fendograph made by Fend, a German firm which had a branch in Milan, Italy. In Milan, Italy. Okay, let me zoom out. So this was made in the 1930s, and I believe in the late 1930s. I told you it has a bock nib. This is a steel nib. It is a German nib. And interesting the connection between the bock nib and the fact that this was a German branch in Milan, Italy. Probably, I'm not so sure. Maybe they had also economical version with gold-plated steel nibs. But judging this nib, I don't think it's from the 1930s. It's a much more modern nib, and that's why I think that the original nib was replaced. Nevertheless, you can see it's quite a wonderful nib. I think it writes like an F, F for a fine nib. And let me test if we have some flex to this steel nib. And it appears we have a small flex, but I will say a small flex. It seems to be quite a juicy nib, and let me show it to you guys. Quite nice. Being a juicy nib, it should do also the signatures quite well. And yes, it does the signatures well. Now I will test if we have some line variance. So now I'm not applying pressure, but now I'm starting to apply pressure. So we can see also a little line variance with this German nib. Okay, now I'm curious to see if we can reverse write with it. Let's see. Reverse writing, and I'm quite pleased. It writes like an EF nib in comparison with the F it usually writes. So definitely a possibility. It doesn't scratch. It doesn't lose the ink flow. So reverse writing, it is a possibility. Now let me put the page up, and now let me tell you about the fox. So the quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog. So quite nice. I'm quite pleased with this nib. It performs quite well. It's not what you call the smooth nib. It has some feedback to it, but in a good way, not in a bad way. It doesn't scratch, and it's quite nice. You know that I prefer broader nibs. I don't like F nibs, but for an F nib, it performs quite nice. So, guys, this was my review of this wonderful Fendograph made by Fend, a company renowned for their overlays, their metallic overlays over the pens. Even some models from Waterman have the same Fend firm that overlaid their products. So quite an interesting to see their own brand, Fendograph, in this line, which is they are quite nice, and as you see, durable fountain pens. By the way, guys, they oh, interesting, the cap got stuck here. Maybe I should take it out. Let's see. Yes, it can be pulled out. Okay, interesting. So they were around from the beginning of the 1930s, and they had to close their gates at the middle of the 1950s with, you probably know, the crisis with the arrival of the ballpoint pens. A shame, but they still are around because they only abandoned their fountain pen division, and they still promoted the products of the company in Germany. So, this is the review of a beautiful Italian metallic piece from the 1930s. Tell me what you think about it. And yes, let me tell you that I paid for this beauty a quite reasonable sum of only 267 lays, or the equivalent of 54.49 euros, or 59.24 US dollars. And I think I did quite nice. Again, I don't believe that this is the original nib, but it explains the low price I could negotiate on it. What can I tell you, guys? This was the review. I hope you have a wonderful day, my friends. Have a nice day, my friends, wherever you are. I've recently launched a new channel, and if you have time, please check it out. It's called Flea Market Vintage Finds. And on this channel, it will reunite all my findings, but not the unboxings of fountain pens, just my nice objects that I can find on flea market and even on used sites like similar to Craigslist. In my country, the site is OLX. So guys, thank you again for your time. I will see you again in the next episode. Till then, bye bye, and God bless you all, my friends.